Business mogul Collen Mashawana is a South African business success story with a difference. So as a young boy in a Limpopo village, he experienced grinding poverty. However, because of the selfless assistance of other people, many of whom were actually complete strangers, he learned the valuable lesson of Ubuntu. He's vowed to assist people when his situation changed. Today, Mashawana runs a Pan-African investment company with assets in numerous countries on the continent. The Collen Mashawana Foundation, for instance, made headlines last week when it delivered homes to 2 Nyanga families whose homes were actually perished in a fire. Those houses were rebuilt and delivered to an 85-year-old grandmother and her 59-year-old neighbour. Collen Mashawana himself joins us now via our video link to tell us more about his work. And so it's a great privilege and honour to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time to chat to us. It's great work that's being done. And so perhaps let me begin by just ascertaining from you how you would describe the philosophy that underpins the philanthropic work that you do.
Good morning, Ayanda. Thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers. I think philanthropy for someone like myself has been something that was embedded to myself since childhood, and I believe it's something that each and everyone can learn on their way or on their journey of growth. It's something that requires you to have a good heart. It does not have, you don't have to be a businessman to be involved in philanthropy. You don't have to have big pockets to be involved in philanthropy. It's something that each and every one of us can get involved in every day of our lives.
Without a doubt. And interestingly, a large focus of your work is on housing for the elderly. I've just spoke about 2 elderly people in Nyanga whose families have been assisted in this way. Tell us why that's the focus of your work.
The Collen Mashawana Foundation has been in existence since 2012. So it has been a 9-year journey where we had focused, and we still continue to focus on the elderly, the child-headed families, and those that are living with disabilities. So we have intervened and initiated a number of programs throughout the country for the past 9 years, which most of those programs benefit elderly people. You have seen the story in the last week in relation to the Nyanga family. Those were just 2 homes that we built in the Western Cape. We have built over 260 homes that we have donated to the elderly, child-headed families and those that are living with disabilities. So we continue to prioritize these 3 groups because we believe this group it's made of people that have lost hope and that don't have much time left, especially the elderly people. And a home is number 1 priority in terms of bringing one's dignity. So there are a lot of elderly people that are living in dilapidated structures, that are living in mud houses, that are living in shacks. Those shacks leak. You can imagine what they could be going through now during this raining season. So it's quite unfair for us as community members to stand by and watch and wait for government to intervene while we could do something about it. So when we talk about community building, we are referring to initiatives and intervention that should be done by each and every one of us. There is no one else who will come and assist our own communities except ourselves. So we have taken that liberty to get involved and have been doing that successfully with very limited resources for the past 9 years.
Right. Sadly, we live in a country where, frankly, you are spoiled for choice about which of the social ills you want to tackle. And typically, people who are in your position decide on which problem to solve based on their own story. Is there anything as part of your journey that, I guess, helped you focus your attention specifically on elderly people?
Yeah, like many South Africans, I was raised by elderly people. I was raised by my grandmother, whom I spent most of my childhood with. But beside getting so much assistance from her, I think during the toughest time in my life, I was helped by community members, which most of those community members were elderly people. So I have grown up with a debt to pay, and I feel indebted to strangers. I feel indebted to elderly people. I feel indebted to those that live with no parents. I was raised to a certain level by a single mother, and I know the pain that comes and the disadvantages that comes with that responsibility. So I believe there is so much that each and every one of us can do to assist elderly people, child-headed families, and those that are living with disabilities. I have started the program within the Collen Mashawana Foundation to assist those groups. And I believe that if we hold hands and come together in this fight, we will do more than what the Collen Mashawana Foundation is doing. Our programs are not only limited to housing. We have recently launched a water program where we are going into communities that are dominated by elderly people who don't have access to clean water. And we are drilling boreholes and donating water to those communities.
Sure. And, you know, a lot of the time when aid is given to certain community members, there's, I guess, concerns around what happens when the immediate help is no longer available. You know, for instance, a lot of elderly people are also in situations where they're dependent on family members, those around them, etc., etc. In the work that you're doing, are you finding that some of them actually need assistance beyond a house and clean water because, as mentioned, of the dependence that they might have developed over the years?
No, most definitely. We come across that all the time. And in our journey, we have knocked on the door of government. We have partnered with social development, where they have come on board to assist us address other social ills that are beyond our own control. And as you have stated, you know, you find that elderly people are staying on their own. Some of them are not receiving grants. Some of them do not have someone to look after them. Some of them don't have IDs. Some of them are ill. Their health is not good, and they need that assistance that is really beyond what we can do as the foundation. So we've partnered with Department of Social Development, like I said, and we continue to work with other foundations that come on board to be able to assist in this as well.
Collen Mashawana, who is part of the Collen Mashawana Foundation, also a business mogul in our country, focusing his philanthropic work specifically on the elderly in South Africa. Thanks very much indeed for making time. An important story worth highlighting, especially around this time of the year, where not only is there a focus on the spirit of giving, but there should also be a focus around people who give really in a way that is sustainable throughout the course of their work. So Collen Mashawana, once again, thanks very much indeed.